Alright, in this video, this is going to be my Craftsman C3 Tools Review Update. Last video I did on my C3 Tools, it's been probably about, I don't know, 6-8 months ago. And I have added quite a bit since then, and I just want to do an update and give you some more information on new tools I've used and things I've tried. And so, we'll get to it. What you see here, this is all my tools from the last C3 Tool Review. So now, we'll roll this guy out. And these are all the tools I have picked up since that last review. Again, these are all 19.2 volt C3, they're all Craftsman stuff. So I'll go over them, talk a little bit about them, and how they've worked out for me. So the first one I picked up was the Hedge Trimmer. This is again a cordless Craftsman C3 19.2 volt hedge trimmer. It's got a 22-inch cut. It comes with this little protective boot for the blades in case you get, for storage, if you don't get cut on it or knock it around or anything like that. It came with a lithium-ion compact battery, and it came with a charger maintainer. The kit was about $79. And I was kind of skeptical, but I like the idea of a cordless hedge trimmer. I have a corded version I use here quite a bit. It only has about an 18-inch cut on it. So this one had a larger cut. It says it has, I want to say, a half-inch capacity. I can guarantee from personal experience it'll do a lot larger capacity than half-inch. 3/4 is fairly regular. I'm pretty hard on this hedge trimmer. I'll get into batteries later. The battery that it came with, of course, is the Lithium-Ion, the compact. It's okay. It's okay on a compact Lithium-Ion. Runtime is not that impressive. If you have just a small hedge you're maintaining in your yard or something like that, it's fine. I don't, however. I have a very tall, very long hedge, probably 60 feet a hedge. And then I also use this to trim down below my home along the roadside, which is probably about another 80 feet. The compact lithium-ion battery was not impressive. I probably got a quarter of the way done on one battery. That being said, and again, I'll get into batteries here in a little bit, I bought the XCP. They're 4 amp hour full-size lithium-ion batteries. They're new XCPs. And with one of those batteries, I can do my entire driveway and all down in front of my house on one. Just one charge. The hedge trimmer is very, very impressive on a full-size XCP. It's kind of a letdown on the battery that came in the kit. I want to say this was about $79, and that was for the trimmer, the charger, and a compact lithium-ion. I think it's a fair price. If you have other Craftsman C3 tools and high-capacity batteries, especially lithium-ion, it won't let you down. It's pretty impressive. It really does work well. I'm not easy on it. I treated it like it were my corded version. I don't baby it. I use it hard, and it has held up. It's been a great tool, so I do highly recommend the hedge trimmer, especially if you have other C3 tools and other high-capacity batteries. Something I talked about in the last video that I really wanted was the 1/4-inch collet impact. I can't remember exactly how much this was, about $69 to $75, something like that. 1/4-inch collet, it has a quick release here on the front. It comes with a 1/4-inch square anvil for sockets, 1/4-inch drive. I also bought one for 3/8. Although they do make a 3/8 impact, I just thought this will serve its purpose for 3/8. It has a little LED flashlight light in the front, forward and reverse. And it actually is pretty impressive. I bought this one for my home, and I've used it on a few things here and there, working on the kids' bicycles, but I really hadn't had a chance to give it a thorough test. But I was impressed with the little bit that I did use it, so I picked up another one. It's the exact same thing. I actually bought this in a kit I'll talk about in a second. Same exact thing. It comes again with a Phillips and a flathead, quick release collet so your bits don't fall out, forward and reverse like on any drill. However, this is an impact. I use this one at work. I use it a lot. I use it very hard. Harder than I'm sure than Craftsman probably designed it to be used. And it has not let me down. Since the last video, I've also changed my place of employment. I'm still a millwright. I'm still working in a wood mill. It's just a different one now. At that wood mill, we have Makita. I want to say 18-volt Makita stuff. And it's every bit as good as the Makita, if not better. So I bought one for home, but I wanted to give it a more rigorous test, but not lose the ability to have it at home, so I bought a second one. Great tool. I think the price is reasonable. I recommend it. It seems pretty tough. It's taken a beating, and it hasn't let me down. The kit that I bought for my job was the 1/4-inch collet impact, as well as a 1/2-inch drill. The drill, it's a fine drill. However, in hindsight, if I were to do it again, I would have bought the impact and the drill individual. There's nothing wrong with the impact at all, and there's nothing wrong with the drill at all. They came with a compact lithium-ion battery and a charger. I can't remember how much the kit was. It wasn't too expensive. Forward and reverse like any drill, high-low range. However, to sell the kits, I would assume they just kind of produce a less bells and whistles drill. Yeah, it's a 1/2-inch chuck. Yeah, it's keyless. It does have high and low on the transmission. It does have variable torque. If you were to set into drywall or stuff like that, or softer materials, you can adjust the torque. However, these are my complaints about this drill. And again, it's very torquey. It's very powerful. There's nothing wrong with it. To save money and I guess keep the kits cheaper when you buy the pair together, they eliminated the LED light off the front. And that's a real bummer for me. I really like having that LED on my other drills back here. So, you know, what's that cost? $2 to put in the tool, Craftsman. I would have paid the extra $10 to have it. But anyhow, so they eliminated the LED on there. They also eliminated on some of these tools, like you can see here, the C3 is outlined in white, and when you use it with a battery, we'll plug it in. When you use it with a battery and you push the battery gauge, it also lights up in the handle of the tool. That's really, neither of these affect the tool's performance, but they are complaints that I have. I don't know why they left that out. Obviously, it had to be a cost savings issue, you know. I would have paid another $20 or even $30 if it came with an LED light and it was visible, the battery gauge was visible in the handle. So again, there's nothing wrong with the drill, but in hindsight, I would have bought the compact 1/2-inch heavy-duty drill and the 1/4-inch collet impact separately to have the added features on the drill. I have a Sawzall I did in my last review. It's an older version. I liked it so much around the house that I bought the newer version for work. I have really abused this at work. The features are the same as my last one. It has toolless blade change here on the side, LED lights up in the front. The design has changed a little bit. There's some mesh inside here you can see. It still has the goofy lockout that I don't care for, but it's functional. Anyhow, it has on-tool storage to adjust the foot in and out. Great Sawzall. Again, it hasn't let me down, just like my Sawzall that I keep at home. It's just a newer version. It does have the light up in the handle for your battery gauge, whereas my other one doesn't. But it's a great Sawzall. I abused this thing badly at work, and it has not let me down. Again, it was $44. So, hey, I got my name scribbled on it. Anyhow, $44. Several of the other millwrights at my work, while they may talk down about the Craftsman brand, I catch them on occasion asking to borrow my Sawzall or other Craftsman C3 tools. So as much as they talk it down, I think they're coming around a little bit. Something else, I have my cordless home grinder here, C3. I liked it so much that I bought another one for work. Exact same thing, All the features are the same. Again, it's got the lockout up on top here, so one-hand operation, which is handy. Onboard tool storage, 3-position handle, 6,500 RPM free spin, plenty of torque, power. Now, I use this really hard at work. Obviously, longevity-wise, because it's a battery tool, it won't keep up with the corded version, but still, I use it often. I'll double back my batteries back to back, you know, on certain jobs. I use it pretty hard, and it does not disappoint. Lots of the millwrights, other millwrights at my work, borrow this frequently, so it's becoming quite the popular tool. Great tool. I love it. It has not let me down. It's exceeded my expectations in almost every time I use it. Great tool. When I bought the Hedge Trimmer, it came with a compact lithium-ion battery, and it came with a 12 volt. It came with a 120 AC charger. Now this actually says right on it, charger and maintainer. I have 2 of these that have come in different kits, and the maintainer is a feature that I don't believe my quick charger, my big guy back here, has. So I can plug a battery into it, and let's say, which I have a habit of doing, I forget to unplug it. It won't hurt the battery. It goes into a sleep mode, and every, I want to say, 6 or 8 hours, or anyhow, it'll recheck the status of the battery. If it needs charged, it'll charge it. If it doesn't, it'll sit there. So it doesn't hurt to leave a battery in it. And I can't guarantee that my 1-hour charger is that way. I think it is, but I don't know for sure, so I keep a closer eye on that one. This, however, is not it's a quicker charge than the little factory slip-on version, but it's not a quick charge. It charges these full-size XCPs in probably an hour and a half, you know, hour and 45 minutes from dead, something like that. It's not terrible. I think they're a fine charger. They're not as fast as that one, but again, I use this one at work in my locker, and it's never been, I've never run into an issue where it's like, come on battery, I need the tool. I've never run into that situation. 2 new tools I bought today that I have not had a chance to test out yet. I bought this. This is another C3 little LED flashlight. We'll plug it in real quick. So there it is. It's actually got quite a bit of reach on it. I don't have much distance here to show you. We'll shine it in the camera. It's kind of bright. Anyhow, it's a single Cree LED bulb, on and off switch. It has the battery gauge in the side of the handle like the newer C3 tools do. A little hook to hang it if you want. It also has the same pivoting head that my incandescent light has. The reason I picked this up was, 2 nights ago at work, I happened to be working in this dark hole in the mill, and I had my little pocket flashlight, a little LED pocket flashlight that I carry, but there was nothing to set it on where I could point it in the direction I needed it, you know, and anyhow, I ended up kind of generally lighting the area with my flashlight and wishing I had something that I could position aim a little bit better. I saw that these had been out for a while. They're like $24.99. I'm pretty excited to try it out. I really like the idea of the pivoting head. Again, just like my incandescent light back here, you can aim it exactly where you want the light to be. So, because it's a single LED bulb, you know, it's going to last forever on even a compact lithium-ion. But I'm pretty excited to test that out. That'll be cool. Another millwright at my work has some Craftsman tools. He happens to have the 1/2-inch impact. I have never used this. They're brand new today, right out of the box. I have had an opportunity to use his C3 1/2-inch impact at work. They're advertised to have about 200 foot-pounds of torque. I believe it. I've used his impact at work several times. Exact same thing, you know, it's a year old or so. He doesn't have any lithium-ion batteries, so it was on the NiCad. And it's impressive. We were unbolting a guard on some belts on a pair of shifts, and he used his 1/2-inch impact to tighten the bolts back up. Well, a week later I went to go and again remove the guard and look at the belts, part of my job, preventative maintenance, And I was surprised I didn't have his impact, so I had to do it with end wrenches. And I put some grunt behind those end wrenches to get them loose. I was really surprised how tight that cordless impact could get the bolts. So I'm going to give it a, again, these are all tools from my job, minus, obviously minus the hedge trimmer. I keep all of this stuff in my locker at work. So I don't think there's going to be any problem with this half-inch drive impact. His is very strong. This one, I would assume, is going to be every bit as strong, maybe a little more longevity with the high-capacity batteries, but has an LED light in the front. It's a half-inch square anvil, so impact sockets, go right on it. Forward and reverse, just like any drill, same spot. It does have the battery gauge indicator in the handle. If it's anything at all, if it performs anything at all like my buddies at work, it's going to be a great tool. $99 for the bare tool. Kind of expensive. You tack that on with a $99 high-capacity XCP battery, and you're in one tool, $200. For some people, that's kind of expensive. I try to justify buying this stuff. It takes money to make money. Sometimes I buy that, sometimes I don't. All of these, none of them are necessities. They're just kind of convenience tools to make my job a little bit easier. I have quite a bit of experience with the C3 brand at home. I like them so much, I wanted to take them to work. And it's also kind of a proving ground because my job really tests the tools. It really puts them through their paces. And I'm honest enough that if a tool isn't worth a damn, I'm going to say something about it. That being said, we're on to the battery section. Now, in my last video, I had 2 NiCads and 1 high-capacity standard lithium-ion, this one here. And I talked about upgrading. This battery, I want to say, is a 3 amp hour. It's a standard lithium-ion full size. It's like 3 amp hour. Your standard full-size NiCad, I want to say, is like 1.8 amp hour. So, not quite double the runtime on this battery. Something I talked about in the last video also was shelf life. Lithium-ion batteries don't lose their charge nearly as fast as NiCads. I went over that in the last video, but I'll cover it a little bit now. My full-size, I have a habit of charging my batteries when I'm done and putting them away. And if I don't get back for a week or 2 to work on something, I'll grab, a full-size lithium-ion and hit the gauge, and it'll still be fully charged, green. However, the NiCads lose their charge just from sitting around. And, I pick up a NiCad and it'd be half dead or 3/4 dead. And it's frustrating because although it's the battery, it gives the tool a bad name. It leaves a bad taste in your mouth. So, anyhow, I upgraded. I purchased the XCP full-size lithium-ion battery. These are a 4 amp hour battery. It's going to be hard to see, but it's right here on the side, 4 amp hour. XCP, $100 a pop. They're not cheap. Next to my half-inch drive impact, which matched the price, it's more expensive than every tool here if bought individually. That being said, if you're running cordless tools, they're only as good as the battery you put in them. I think Craftsman takes a lot of crap, not because of their quality, but just because their standard NiCad batteries, in my opinion, are terrible. They're great new, and if you're really good at keeping a close eye on them, fully discharging them, fully charging them, they'll last a long time, but their power curve, it drops off from the very start. A NiCad battery power curve, it'll start off and it'll get weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker, and it's really noticeable, especially in like drills. Before it's just so weak that the tool's useless. Lithium ions, however, they're a different kind of cat. They start out strong, real strong, and they'll continue strong all the way until they're dang near dead, and that's it. The usable power of a lithium-ion is substantially longer than the usable power on a NiCad. So, lithium-ion XCP batteries, I I bought one, I loved it, I bought the second one. So now I have 3 lithium-ions, 1 standard, 2 XCPs. There's 300 bucks in these 3 batteries, not to mention the compacts. So it adds up pretty quick. That being said, I think the XCPs are worth every penny. They are a great, great battery. I did some work at my job where I just grabbed 1 battery. I grabbed my 1/4" impact, 1/2" drill, and my Sawzall. And I had to go cut a piece of UHMW plastic, had to cut an old bent one out, I had to drill a whole bunch of holes and use self-tappers in my impact to reattach this plastic down. It was underneath a set of chains. Anyhow, long story short, it was a pretty solid 45 minutes of work swapping batteries between tools, 1 battery, and it didn't quit. And when I was done with the job, this was the greatest part of all, it was still on green status. It was still 75% left of the battery. So it's very impressive. Again, the tools are only as good as the batteries you put in them, and these XCPs are great. One thing that scared me a little bit when I first got them was they have a thermal protection circuit in it, and if you use the tools hard, especially in the grinder, the batteries will reach a protection, a thermal protection. They'll shut down. And the first time this happened to me, it freaked me out. I thought, oh no, I just melted a $100 battery, and I started to think, well, is this grinder worth it now? And anyhow, I didn't realize that I was really using the grinder hard, and the battery was going into thermal protection. What happens is it basically just stops output. It reaches a thermal circuit in there and says you're too hot, it stops output. And I didn't know what happened. I thought, oh, the battery's dead. So I ran in and I plugged it into my charger, and the charger read defective battery. And I'm going, oh no, $100, might as well just lit it with a lighter and threw it away. Well, anyhow, so I set that battery down, I grabbed another XCP, and I went back to work. And I came back about a half hour later, and I tried it again, and then, it went through its normal cycle, charging, everything works. And that's when I realized they have a thermal protection, an overload circuit. So if they do get used hard, they'll stop working to protect the battery, which is a cool feature. And now that I know it's there, I don't push the tool to the point where it does trip thermal. So some people may not like that about these batteries. I know where that limit is, where that threshold is. I think it's a good feature. Some may not like that. But again, I'd rather have the battery protect itself than melt a $100 battery to the ground. You may disagree. So XCPs, I love them. They're the way to go. If you don't want to fork out quite $100 a battery for the XCPs, you can get the standard lithium-ions. These are 4 amp-hour XCPs, 3 amp-hour standard lithium-ions. They have the battery gauge in them as well. These are great batteries as well. I don't have any complaints with them. Same shelf life. They don't quite last as long because it's a 3 amp-hour and these are 4. But still, a good battery, and there I want to say $70-ish. So you can save 30 bucks and lose an amp-hour. For me, I'm going to be using them hard. I'm going to be using them often. I'm going to charge them. I'm going to put heavy drains on them. And I wanted the longest lasting battery I could get, which happens to be the 4 amp-hour XCP. People sometimes complain about the weight. The nice part about the lithiums is they're not too heavy. But if Craftsman came out with a 10 amp-hour that was 5 pounds of battery, I'd buy it. I'm that kind of guy. I don't care if the tool's heavy. I'm not a wuss. No offense, but I'd rather have a heavy battery that lasted 8 hours in a grinder than a light one that lasted 45 minutes. That's just me. It's personal preference. So the weight, it doesn't matter to me. On to compact lithium-ion batteries. I have not spent any money on the compacts per se. That one's got my name on it too. Anyhow, I have one for work, I have one at home. They both came when I bought a kit. For instance, one came with this kit, the other one came with the Hedge Trimmer. They're not bad batteries. That being said, they're compact, they're very light, they don't hardly weigh anything at all. However, because they're compact, amp hour suffers. they're about the same as a standard NiCad for amp hours. I want to say they're about 1.8. They have great shelf life, unlike the NiCads. However, the longevity, it's just not there for me personally. A lot of people like them because they're lightweight, and they are lightweight. However, your runtime suffers because it's just a smaller package. You can't get the capacity out of it as of yet, as you can with the full-size batteries. These batteries, in my opinion, the compact lithium-ion batteries, I would say they're excellent for flashlights, for the radio. I can run a full 10-hour shift on one battery plus on a compact. Anything that's low drain, they're pretty decent in the incandescent flashlight. They're pretty decent in the tube light. But once you get into high draw situations, like for instance drills, grinders, sawzalls, impacts, the hedge trimmer, which came with one, they're not garbage by any means. They're just not impressive to me. In my opinion, if you wanted to get one for a flashlight, just because it makes the entire package very light, it doesn't hardly weigh anything at all, they're not that expensive for a compact lithium-ion. I can't remember exactly how much because I personally never purchased one. They just came with others. If they come in the kit, I think they're worth having around. They do great for lights and things like that, but longevity-wise, they just don't perform time-wise. They just run too dead too quickly for me. Again, for most who bought this hedge trimmer and they want to trim their yard and make it pretty, and they've got 20 by 30 yard or whatever, it's going to be great. They're going to praise it. For people like me that have 120 feet plus of hedge that's 15 feet tall, it's not terrible. It's just not as good as it is with the XCP. The XCPs are over twice the runtime of the compact lithium-ions, over twice. So I'll sacrifice weight all day long for battery longevity. I would not, and I don't plan on it, I would not waste my money on a compact lithium-ion. It's great if they come in the kit. Cool, I'll plug it into my flashlight or radio or something. It keeps the weight down on the radio. But as far as longevity and high torque tools, like the grinders, like the drills, like the sawzalls, or the hedge trimmers, I wouldn't waste my money on the compacts. It's nice it comes with it. At least you can go right to work right away. But it's not something I'd run out and purposefully buy, just because I have experience with them now. I know what to expect from them. And in my opinion, XCPs are the way to go. Yes, they're expensive. They're $100 a pop, but you won't be disappointed with them. I can definitely say that. I'm not disappointed with them in any way. So, thank you for watching. This will be version 2 of my Craftsman Tools C3 19.2 volt update. Again, I've used the impact, the grinder, the 1/2-inch drill, the Sawzall at work. I use them, I would say, almost daily, if not every other day. I use them very hard. They've held up very well, and I'm very impressed with them. Again, I expect nothing but good things from the 1/2-inch impact because, again, another millwright at my work has it. I've used his, and it hasn't disappointed me. And the flashlight at $24.99 or whatever it was, I think it's kind of cool. I think it'll serve a purpose for me at work. Nonetheless, I wanted to try it anyhow. 25 bucks isn't that much to drop on something. So thank you for watching again. Please rate and comment, subscribe to the channel.